Good afternoon. It's Joyful Christian Hermit. Well, had interesting comments, and well, I actually brought it up. That of this one person, the criticism that I exceed boundaries of privacy, etc. And of course I do. This is essentially a public journal of my life, of people I've encountered or who have encountered me, and situations involving, including disorders and wrongdoings, all of which I have forgiven, but it still has consequences and affected my life. It's part of my journey, part of my growth, just as my wrongs to other people are part of their journeys, even if it's unintentional. I've in the past mentioned Reverend Monsignor, and his OCD got in the way of being able to cope with my ecstasies, which weren't really any of his problem or his business even. Although, he is the rector of a cathedral, and I think in that sense feels like everybody is his domain, and in some sense is, if we worship there, I guess. If they consider themselves a stand-in for God, or the administrator. I think he was more the administrator type, felt that he was an administrator, but probably also viewed himself as a father of all the people in his parish. It's a lovely thought, a lovely consideration. But, our own disorder gets involved then when we take on roles with other people. Just as me as a mother, my pain affected my children. It affected me, which affected my children. So, in negative ways. So, that was something that he didn't want me there, didn't want me in the parish, didn't want me going to Mass, basically, because of my ecstasies, because they bothered him. Because he has OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder. He couldn't cope, even raised his voice, and he was practically like he was going to break into tears. You don't stand during the gospel. It just bothered him so much. Well, I couldn't stand. When you're in ecstasy, you don't have any control over your body. Your large muscle, your faculties. You can't make your eyes open. You can't make yourself speak. You can't make yourself move. And other people try, and they can't. You just fly. You're like a dead person. So something like that. I shared that. I've shared many things. And in the present moment, who knows if I were there now, maybe he would have gotten some help with that and been able to cope. Or the next person who took his place might have coped better and might have explained to parishioners to not touch or to what was going on. But they have their own inbuilt rules. People have their own developed rules. And I'm dealing all day with my lovely neighbor and last night, and all day yesterday, who suddenly, I agreed if she wanted to, find people. And then I realized how wrong, what a mess it could be to have other people painting this house. My homeowner's insurance, liability risks, whether they could paint or not. It's no good having your house painted if it's not painted well or properly. And I just felt usurious. I felt wrong in having other people paint for me. It's my responsibility. And my grandson wants to do it with me. We had that plan. The problem is this inbuilt rule that I did not realize my neighbor has, the same as many other people, of time frame. People believe time belongs to them and that they are in charge of time and rule time, and that other people must go on their time schedule. So all of a sudden, all this came out. How bothered that my front stonework wasn't done or that my house wasn't painted. It bothers her to a high degree. So then she decided that she and her husband would help me just a couple or 3 hours every morning, and insisted she start this morning. Well, that was fine, except I woke up the longest I've slept. I finally had sleep. I've never slept this well. And my arm wasn't even bad until I was conscious and then laying here, and I was trying to text back to her to explain that I had just awakened and that I was very sick with pain and couldn't get up yet. It was 10:30 in the morning. I couldn't help it. Just done in. And then I had to get special caulk, stronger caulk. And that was going to take me time to go get it. And had to return a couple of things. Had to get some sprinkler standards or whatever they're called. I'm so tired. Then I had texts of, well, when will we start? When will we start? Finally, I said, let's aim for 1 in the afternoon. I just couldn't do it earlier. And I got back at 1, and I'm in bed with an ice pack. I finally got up about an hour ago and spent about 45 minutes watering some plants out there, the things I planted yesterday. And I watered the plants in containers that need to be planted. I actually planted one thing and moved another thing. And had to get back in bed and lay down on ice. In the meantime, getting texts about, that she had a short stool that I could use. It's like 4:30 or 5 in the afternoon. And I get a text saying she had a short stool I could use to get started on the first rows, the low rows. I have a short plastic stool, I text back. And I hope I can still do a few rows, but I don't see how I can. I've been very nauseated. It's too hard. I'm even writing about how it's so hard for people to understand. But I thought she could, but no, she can't. And it's too much. Then the older woman around the corner wants to come and visit at 7, talk. She wants to chat because she's upset with her son being sick and needs to come over and sort of unload with me. And everybody needs to get a video channel. They do. It's therapeutic. It's so therapeutic. And who cares if you get a lot of criticism? It works. It helps. But no, this elderly lady, elderly than me, she probably truly does need counsel from me. I'm too worn out. I'm over-peopled. I'm over-pushed. I don't work well under the pressure, and I especially don't when I'm sick to the core with pain. Father Vincent texted wanting money urgently. He said he needs money. Urgent. It's an urgent need. I had to text back yesterday and say I'm too sick to get to the bank. I can't go. It's not just getting to the bank. It's sitting, and it's a long process to get the money wired. I have to get the money out first. I have to get it transferred. And then I have to get it to the bank in cash and sit there while they go through the process. And I don't know what the urgent need is. I had told him before, I really couldn't until July. I was trying to set my budget finally. And I had planned to send money to him in July. A good amount, whatever I can come up with in July. I spent on some trees, sad to say, so I don't have money right at my fingertips. I planned it for July when I told him I could have it, so now he wants it, and I keep writing saying, please let me know. Because I don't know, but I think if I rest enough this weekend, I can go to the bank Monday. Banks are closed here today. I'm too nauseated to drive. Honestly, I'm overpeopled. When I get like this, it's just too much. And I have to be very careful. I don't want to offend people. But I also know when my breaking point is. So, but he's not, Father Vincent isn't responding. I'm sure that he feels that I've offended, that how would you say it? That he's offended me, or that's not that. I wish I could express to him that I want to help him. I don't care what it's for. I really don't. Just get the money sent, but I have to be able to get to the bank to do it and get the money out and just do it. It doesn't matter to me anymore. Nothing matters really. I just have to be able to do things for people. So I had to turn this other lady down, who's very, very upset because her son has COPD, and he has his good bad days and his bad days. She's going back to Mexico to see him in early June. I think in about, it'll be 10 days. 10 days from today. And I just pray she can hang on. And because she's on a roller coaster of worry, and she'll get a report one day he can't get out of bed. The next day he can. So she's up and down thinking he's going to die any minute. And she had a father who had COPD. And maybe her mother too. And it isn't like that. They can go on for several years like that. Up and down. Until they get pneumonia. But even now with medications, because he's not in a place where he gets the best of medical care, but it's his choice to live there. His wife's there, they have a place there. And so, I can listen. I can't really say anything because there's nothing to say. Except, to remind her that death really, he could live for longer than she. I don't dare say anything. She gets very upset. She just is like many of us, just needs to talk. Get it out like vomit. Just get it out. But I can't work under pressure and somebody texting and themselves wanting it done under their time frame because they can't take it that it's not done. I wish that they would just start driving around and leave the subdivision the other way. My neighbors could just drive down and just go around the block or even go all the way out to the subdivision opening without having to see the front of my house. Then it wouldn't bother her. Or the paint, or just put blinders on. She used to keep the blind shut on this side of her house. And it's the same color it's always been. It's just that she knows in her mind that it's getting painted. And I have the back side nearly finished. But it bothers her. And she knows now that there's boards right above this bedroom wing. About 5 boards that need the second coat. So she knows that, and it's eating at her. And she wants to paint that, but I can't let her do that because it has to be on the 16-foot ladder, and it has to be at a very awkward slant that I'm used to. And she's a little on the heavy side, not bad, but I'm like a spider going up and down that ladder. In fact, she's told me in the past that it scares her how thin I am, that it's scary. And I explained to her, I can't help how thin I am. I can't help it. The pain eats the calories. And I can't eat, like today, I had a little bowl of cereal this morning, and I'm having this protein drink with Diet Coke in it to try to help my headache. But, I can't help it that I'm thin, but it does help with going up a ladder that's like at it's maybe 80 degrees or whatever it would be, very inclined, because it has to be inclined to go over the trees there. I have a weeping, what's it called? Oh, a green cascade Japanese maple that's like 42 inches tall, or maybe 4 feet. So the ladder has to be above that. You can't put a step ladder in there. Well, it's too unsteady with the step ladder, but I have to just climb up that ladder like it's on barely a slant. Well, maybe a 45 degree or 40 degree, but it would be hard if you were not my body type, spider-like. I don't want to risk her falling, and it's awkward, so you have to go up just holding a roller full of paint and come up and down many times. Well, that I could set up my 6-foot ladder, or probably my 8-foot step ladder, and put the roller pan on top of it, but it doesn't have a tray. It's not a tray kind of ladder. So see all these considerations, and I'm trying to explain to her why it would be hard for her to use this ladder that's hard to climb up when it's at that odd angle. It's hard for me, and I'm used to it. I did the whole thing already, 1 coat. Plus I got up there and did all the trim and the overhang on it like that, reaching up with my abnormally long, goofy looking arms. So, this is the kind of stuff that I just don't need it, but I don't want to offend people. And, so I don't see that I'm going to do any, I'd like to do maybe even 3 rows of the stonework out there, but tonight, but not when I'm nauseated. And I'm sorry, I just worked so hard under pressure the last 3 days trying to get that front portion done that the guy had on the list that I have to have sod. Well, it's not sod, but it looks lovely, I think. I don't know. The neurosurgeon, I got a call from the nurse this morning. Neurosurgeon has written a letter. It's very generic. She said that it took them a lot of convincing for him to write it. And I said, I'm sorry, I should have mentioned that it's not per se for the HOA anything. It has nothing to do with it. I just need something to prove that I have this pain disability, because they don't believe me. And that adds to the pressure and the hassle when they keep saying I'm just full of it. Oh yeah, try that one again, try that one again. And maybe I needed to show the neighbor woman. I don't know. Depends on if he made it too generic. And if so, then, I could show her my disability paperwork from 1987. I've got that. And my letter from my GP back then. And somewhere I have the letter from my surgeon, Dr. McKinley, 1987 surgery. Oh, will never work again. Can't be consistent. Can't stand in one place for more than 5 minutes. Can't sit for more than 5 minutes without excruciating pain. No difference. It hasn't changed, gotten worse, in fact. But I have pain meds now. So, anyway, this is part of it. But as far as my overreaching boundaries, the hermit lady is right. The diocese lady. It is. And it, if some people would read it, or listen to my videos, they would be very insulted, very offended, very angry with me. Others who would listen, would say, yes, I did act like that. I did do that to this person. And it's true. And I'm sorry. Just depends on if the person wants to see it or not see it. And that's like with me. These people, whoever it was, either it's herself being an alter ego writing in these things about me so she can expound on it, or it's one of her cohorts doing it. But regardless, yes, they're right. I do go outside boundaries, and I do break privacy. And I'd say, yes, even being nice, or protocols of it that I've exposed. I've exposed my own self, and I have exposed others, good people and not so good. We're all sinners, and that's part of my spiritual and my temporal story. And I just figure if I were writing a nonfiction book, it would be the same. The ones who have done things and said things, bad or good, would recognize themselves, even if I put a different slant to it, made them into fictional characters. They'd still recognize themselves and wouldn't like it. Some of them wouldn't, and others wouldn't mind. So, like two of my kids, what would they say? Oh no, we didn't cut our mother off. Oh yes, we like her. We wish that she lived near me. We wish she'd come and visit, but we were just teasing when we said we didn't want her to come. They could lie about it, or they could say, yes, we did do that. And yes, it probably did hurt her, but she hurt us. She did such and so when we were little, or said such and so, or didn't do enough, or whatever is their grievance. And then when I would hear it, I could say, yes, I did do that, and I'm so sorry. Or yes, I did lose my temper back then. I was in pain. I had no pain meds. I had no good control over myself. And I'm so sorry. I've already told them I'm sorry for whatever it is that I did. That was so awful that they, don't like me or whatever. Or I'm sorry I'm not normal. But in that case, I'm sorry, I can't help it. It's how I was born. And I don't understand then why God allowed me to have children. to hurt you. I didn't mean to hurt you by having children that wanted a normal mother and ended up with me. What a tough break, I will say. It's a very sad deal for them, obviously. So, see, I can admit to my sins and my errors, and I admit that I cross boundaries of privacy, normally, of normal privacy. I tend not to say people's names. I think I probably slipped up and said the HOA men's names. I think I did, probably. I know I said Mike and Bob, but I got the marigolds today. They have marigolds, since I had to go get the caulk for the neighbor. But by the time I got back, I estimated it would be 1, and it was 1:05. And she then said she had to cook for her potluck tonight, so that was fine. I just can't do things on a schedule. That's part of the reason why I couldn't work. They said cannot be consistent. I don't know from one day to the next how I'm going to wake up. You know, it's amazing if I can be up by 8:30 or 9. Takes probably an hour, really, by the time I get the dogs food and them in and out a couple of times, and get the something to eat. But so this is how it is, and I think more people than I realize cannot grasp, simply cannot. I try to encourage them when they get some aspect of it. Oh, you can grasp it. But no, they can't. And my neighbor is so sweet, she doesn't want to reveal that she's also one that cannot tolerate the slowness of this. It's driving them batty that my house is slow, my progress is slow. And the inside, I think, really gets to her. But she doesn't have to be in here. That's what they don't... she's convinced. She was convinced if the counters were cleared, I would feel so much better. No, it doesn't matter to me at all. I don't feel any better either way. And it's more work for me to go back and forth to the garage to get things that otherwise would just be on my counter. If I've been at the point of sleeping in my clothes for 2 years, I mean, obviously I changed them. I don't sleep in the same ones for 2 years. But I'm too tired by night for that extra effort. It's overwhelming for me to think. Last night I was so exhausted, I didn't realize, but when I woke up off and on, of course. I had to go to the bathroom, I'm sure. I don't remember. But I remember waking up at 10:30 this morning, and the light was on. My laptop was on. It'd been on all night. I was out and or functioning without recognizing, because I know I had to go to the bathroom. I know that. So I vaguely remember at least twice, but I don't remember anything about the light being on or the laptop still being on. And so it's pain and fatigue. And I think people would just have to be in my body. It's been, when was it? 1996, I think it was. Early summer, that 2 women were at the church in my hometown that I was Saturday morning mass. Had never seen them before. No one else had, as it turned out. One was African and the other one from what did she say? Philippines, maybe. I think it was. And, but I knew they had a message for me. Sure enough, after Mass, I was praying, and they kept waiting till I was finished praying. Everybody else had left. And they talked with me. And the one told me, well, one said she was from Africa, the other one from the Philippines. And they knew exactly where my points of pain were. I had the anterior stigmata then. Now I can't even tell because I have pain all over my body now. It's not in any one spot or any few spots. But back then I could feel it. I had hand, side, and head wounds. And feet, both of my feet. Feel like, like we're just holes in the body, through them, nail holes, pain. And it would feel like blood coming out of them. I could feel it coming out. And my left side, both hands, and my head, around my head, like crown of thorns pain. But over the years, I have so much of this other arachnoiditis pain that is just, and back then I had lumbar pain I would feel, and headache, but it wasn't the crown of thorns pain. That was different. But like I say, I can't tell now, so I don't know if it's gone, if the anterior stigmata are gone, or if they're still there, but the other pain just takes over, But this one woman, the Filipino, knew every spot, knew about it. And the other one said, we know about you. We know about your pain. We know that you have the gift of inner sight. And I forget what else they said. Some words of encouragement. And I got all excited. I felt like they must be heavenly beings of some sort sent to me, but they were definitely most physical. Because I called the assistant priest had the Mass that morning. I called him after this event and asked, did you see those? Yes, he did. Have you ever seen them? No, I've never seen them before. And it seemed most strange in our town to have an African and a Filipino just show up for morning Mass. But I told him what the conversation was and how really freaked out and bizarre. But I was excited because I knew they were heavenly beings of some sort. It was some miraculous thing going on. But I invited them to come for breakfast at my home. It was when I still had this lovely home I had built for my children for the bulk of their growing up years. I had the money because I'd gotten out of California, and the money went a lot further in the Midwest, in my small town. But no, they said, oh no, we've got to go. All of a sudden, and they went out. They said, we don't want to be locked in. We'll be locked in. And the doors, you don't get locked in. They lock from the outside. People can't get in, but you can get out at all times. But they went out, and I followed them, and I could see no car. I could see nothing. They just disappeared. Out the door. They went out the door. I followed, and when they went out the door, it was like they just disappeared. So that was quite something, quite an event. But I was so grateful to have. I called my godmother, the sister at the convent, and she said it was God giving you an affirmation of your suffering, of how much suffering you have. And so, I just need other people to bug off and let me have the peace and quiet to do my work bit by bit, slow and steady. The snail wins the race. And I thought it would be fun with the neighbor helping. She really wants to, but not if it's going to be just nagging. and expecting me to be able to do things, or thinking, like when she said, texted, saying, well, you have 2 days and it will be Sunday, then you can rest. It doesn't work that way. It's not like I have a choice. For pity's sakes, if I had a choice, there would have been so many times I would have been up and doing things with my children when they needed, or gone to their activities when they really needed and wanted. It doesn't work at will that I can pick and choose. Pain decides. Love and suffering decides when I can get up and when I can't. And it's hard for other people to understand that God is in charge. Time belongs to God, and pain. God is love and God is pain. Because love and suffering are intertwined. Jesus is love and Jesus is suffering, because suffering and love are intertwined. And it's all up to God. And it's just too hard for people to grasp, I guess, that I might look okay. I might be up and walking and talking. But honestly, at this point, if I'm up and walking and talking, it's who knows what. I'm just on autopilot at this point, autopilot. And I want to enjoy my prayer time while I'm working and not have this weight of even the ridiculous notion of how it had to be done in one day. I think she thought that would be awesome, We can knock this thing out in one day. I'll get people coming, a paint team together. Well, it sounded good at first. She was so excited about it. I want to please her because she's such a lovely person, but she can't understand. It's sad for me to realize here's another person who I thought could understand, who cannot, and who is just as bugged by it as the HOA men, but she's not at all vicious like they are. And she's made many concessions by even, saying that I go ahead and do the stonework today. I suggested we started Monday. Last night, I thought I would be up today and I could work, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday and have the stonework done. I felt I could do it that fast. I didn't know, but based on showers I've tiled with essentially subway tile, seemed like I probably could. But I didn't have today. Today is not mine. No day is mine. No day is any of ours. But other people are fooled. Probably the hermit lady's fooled. She thinks she has control. She likes control. She thinks her intellect is going to be there for her and is her jewel. Her intellect is her jewel, her pride and joy. But be prepared for anything. And God doesn't think intellect is that much. He said, think with your heart, think with your heart. He didn't tell me to think with my brain. Think with your heart. I purport that God would prefer even the hermit lady to have a bit more compassion. And she thinks she's laid off me, but not if she's posting this other lady's stuff or whoever it is. The comments made. But it wasn't terrible. I'm just pointing out that there she goes again, that she still has me in her brain, which is too bad, like the HOA man. I bug people. I'm like they're hemorrhoids. I'm the hemorrhoid hermit. So they just can't stand it. I'm under God's rules, not theirs. And somehow they can't cope with that. And I feel sorry for them because not my neighbor lady. God is going to treat her so well. She's been so good. And she'll get there. She'll get there eventually. And, so she's frustrated. She handles it well. She's coping. And maybe the letter will help her too. Whatever he writes might help her understand. But I could see where people could think, well, I'm just putting this on, or I just don't want to do it. I just don't want to do it. No, that's not the case. I have to do things that I can do. Like in this stage today, I could probably get up after a while and go plant a couple other little flowers, little perennials dotted around her, or the marigolds I got. I got these marigolds because Mike and his wife like marigolds. That's their flower. Their only flower they use are marigolds. And I like marigolds. It's Mary's gold. But I'm going to put those out because I thought that might make them feel better. They like marigolds, so maybe that would make them happy. I just want to make them happy and do something nice for them that they will enjoy. Looking at the marigolds planted, that might be a good thing to do. Stick some marigolds in the ground for them. So that's enough. That's enough. It's the lesson of we're under God's rules. We're under God's rules. And it's God's time, not ours. God bless you all. And we're always grateful for other people who want so much to help us. But their plans don't work out. Well, frankly, my plans don't.